All right, welcome to the Lowdown, brought to you by Unibet. I'm Dev Sahni, and joining me today is a former cruiserweight champion, now making a name for himself in the heavyweight division. He's a man looking to ruin the night of Daniel Dubois on December 3rd at Tottenham. Joining me all the way from South Africa, the one, the only, Kevin Lerena. How are you, mate?
Good on you, Dev. Thanks for that intro.
Yeah, I do quite nice little intros. Did that one get you a bit hyped up?
Got me hyped up. Makes me want to come to Tottenham tomorrow.
Yeah, well, look, you are coming on December 3rd. Huge night for you, a huge opportunity in the career of Kevin Lerena. You must be delighted that you get the chance to make a big statement on such a big stage.
Most definitely, I think it's a massive statement that's gone wild here in South Africa. I mean, it's huge for South African boxing to have the opportunity to showcase our talents on such a big stage. And obviously, we just got to stay in the moment. You know, I've never fought on such a stage before. The most I've fought in front of is only 10,000 people, which was in Germany. So, you know, it's really a great opportunity. So I'm very grateful to Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions, Francis Warren, you know, as well as my promoter, Rodney Berman, because we made this fight happen. And I'm just excited, you know, from South Africa, we don't get these opportunities that often. So when you get them, you've got to take them and grab them with both hands.
I just noticed your dog on the camera as well. How are you going to cope with being away from your canine friend?
You know what? I'm going to miss home, to be honest. I love South Africa. I love home, but I'm going there to do business. So going there with one thing on my mind, and that's to become victorious. And, you know, so everything, it's all the sacrifices, it's all built up, you know. So going away from home, leaving my children behind, leaving my family behind, my dogs, you know, obviously I've got a big support base that's coming with me to the United Kingdom. But it's the small things and the sacrifices that we make in order to be great one day.
Well, look, it's great to get an insight there into the mindset of Kevin Lerena. Are you treating this like the biggest moment of your boxing career so far?
100%. If it is the biggest moment of my career, the mountain ahead of me is a big one, and I'm no fool. You know, I'm a realist, and but I know what I have to do to win. And this is the biggest opportunity of my career. Like you said, you hit the nail on the head. You know, let alone the fact whether it was at the O2 Arena or wherever it was, co-main event to Dereck and Tyson Fury. It's all irrelevant. I'm fighting Daniel Dubois for the WBA belt, and by beating him, will let heavyweights know that I'm a serious contender in this division. But I think they know that because there's a lot of people that didn't want to accept the fight with me. And so thanks to Daniel Dubois for giving me the opportunity as well. So to Team Dubois and his trainers and that, thank you for the opportunity.
And I said at the top there, you are the man looking to ruin his night on December the 3rd. I guess that's the plan, huh?
Most definitely. You know, he's coming there to ruin my aspirations and my dreams, but I'm coming there to stop him in his tracks, you know. Boxing is a very hard sport. We know how hard it is at the top. There's very little room for error. But I've got a great trainer, I've got a great mindset, and I've got a good game plan. And if we can stick to our game plan as best as we can, I will derail Daniel Dubois and I will become the WBA world champion.
What do you think of Daniel? I mean, I saw a video on your Instagram when this fight was talked about, and it sounded like you thought that maybe he wasn't too sure about taking the fight with you. You were saying things like sign the contract. You were saying things like men should be men and fight. You can run, but you can't hide. Talk to me about your feelings towards Daniel Dubois, and did you think that there was a bit of a hesitation from him in taking the fight with yourself?
There was definitely a hesitation in taking a fight with me. No disrespect to Daniel Dubois. He's a tough competitor. He's beastly strong, so I've heard. But this is boxing. Strength is all relative. Strength is all relative. It's not a strong man's game. When you be a strong man or a bodybuilder, you must go on stage. This is a smart man's game. And there was hesitation to fight me, obviously for various reasons. You know, I'm a southpaw. I got nothing to lose. I'm coming to take everything. You know, so I am a complete underdog. And I think that they were offering other guys fights. I think the Lucas Brown fight fell through. And then immediately I got the call And they said, do you want the fight? I said, yes, send the contract. I'm in, no hesitations. And then there was delays, and I think the delays, from what I heard and from what I gathered, came from their camp because they weren't so sure. Awkward, southpaw, we don't know if we want this fight. So that's when I started getting vocal, because at the end of the day, it's just boxing, Fights are there to be made, and there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. But let's get it on. Sometimes in your life, I've had 30 professional fights now, and whoever they've offered me, I fought. My first heavyweight fight, they offered me Bogdan Dinu. I knocked him out in 4. And then they said to me, Maurice Vaca. I said, cool, let's fight him. I gave him a complete shutout, 12 rounds. So I've only fought the men that they've asked me to fight. When they asked me to fight Yuri Kalenga for the world title, a man with little experience like me, I said, yes, bring it on. I've never shied away from a fight, because boxing, the sport of boxing, is about the best should fight the best until you reach the pinnacle. And the pinnacle of the heavyweights right now is obviously Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder, and the guys all at the top, And then you get the guys that are trying to break into that pinnacle and the elites, and then you get everybody else. And I don't want to be with everybody else. I want to be there. So I have to fight Daniel Dubois. So when they offered me the fight, I said, let's get it on, because now only time will tell. And there's no real losing in heavyweight boxing. I think we've seen that. Look at Dereck Chisora. He had a heap of losses, some controversial, but he's still at the top of his game doing big things for boxing. So it just shows you the heavyweight division, the glamour division, is the elite division of the world of boxing. And I'm just grateful to be given this opportunity. So that whole call out on Instagram, it was nothing personal against Daniel Dubois, because I think he's a terrific fighter. He's very strong. I've studied him. I was studying him before he probably even heard of me. I was studying Daniel Dubois before he even heard of me, because I watched him when he fought Dinu, and I watched him when he fought Joyce. So I've been following him because I won the WBA Intercontinental versus Dinu. So I said, I want to go this way. I'd like to fight Daniel Dubois. Before this guy even knows of me, I'm going to study him. So I've been watching him for a very long time, and he's a strong guy. But I think, as I said before, at the top, we just spoke about it, strength is all relative. It is all relative. And if they think I'm not strong and they're underestimating, well, at their own peril.
Well, look, one area where you clearly do not lack any strength is up here, is the mentality. Just from hearing the way you're speaking to me today and the speed with which you accepted this tough fight with a heavy puncher away from home, do you feel as though you have the mental edge heading into a fight with Daniel Dubois?
Well, I can't say I know what Daniel Dubois' mental aspect is like. I can't talk on behalf of Daniel Dubois, but I do know my mental mindset, my frame of mind is just, this is my moment, like you said, I got given the opportunity. I didn't say, but, maybe let's have one more fight, or no, let's maybe fight another gatekeeper. I was like, bring it on, because this is what boxing needs. And I think they appreciate that too, I think it wouldn't have done any justice, Daniel Dubois beating Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown was a terrific fighter. He had a few unfortunate losses. He did beat Junior Fai in Australia or whatever it was. But I think we can be more relevant. And me and Daniel Dubois is a lot more relevant. So I think a lot of the people, the boxing purists and the pundits, appreciate this fight. And there's obviously people who don't know me. I'm from South Africa, so we're from a very small country down south that not many people know us on the boxing world, and we do get overlooked. But I think it's also now my time to stand up for South Africa and to show we can mix with the elite in the world. So getting the opportunity on this show shows that my victory over Dinu and my shutout win over Vach sent noise around the heavyweight division. And I've got good preparation for this fight. I'm working really hard. I always work hard. But like I said, nothing changes. The only thing that really changes is the man in front of me. And you have to alter the game plan for that man.
This man is a man that you say that you've been studying for a while before you even on his radar. What are the attributes that bring you success in this fight and ensure that you beat Daniel Dubois on December the 3rd?
Without giving away too much, Dev, Daniel Dubois is a very strong guy. He's a big puncher, it's no secret. But I think a big puncher can only be a puncher if you allow them to set their feet. The strong big man can only throw leather if his feet become static and he has the ability to release that power. So by keeping a man off balance and moving in and out, changing the levels of the fight, up and down, in and out, boxing from angles, it will make it harder for him. I mean, it's no secret. That's my style. I don't stand in front of you and I don't trade off. Yes, there's a time when you're going to trade and you're going to throw leather, but I'm in and out. I'm looking to score points, looking to put it on you, put it on the chin, put it on the chin, put it on the chin, wear the man down that way. And obviously he's looking to lay the big punches, the big left hook, the big right hand, all relative. Anyone in the heavyweight division above 100 kilograms can throw a punch. I think what people forget that some punch harder than others, most definitely. Some have a different type of punch. Some have an explosive punch. Some have a fast punch. Some have a thud of a punch. It's all different, but it's all relative. The punch that hurts you is the punch that you let hit you. And I think a lot of people forget that. So I'm really excited. There's a whole lot of talk about Usyk, a phenomenal mover, this, that. But also is Kevin Lerena. And I'm going to show the world that on the 3rd of December.
The kind of fight that you just described to me there, talking about how you box in and out, you're a bit of a mover, you won't allow Daniel Dubois to plant his feet. The sort of thing that you were describing there sounded to me like Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. How much confidence did you take as a smaller man coming up to the heavyweight division from what Alexander Usyk has been able to demonstrate as the unified champion now?
Yeah, Alexander Usyk's a great competitor and he's a terrific boxer. I mean, I've only heard good things about him. My teammates fought him twice, and my teammate was doing well against. My teammate fought him once and was doing really well against him up until the point where the fight ended. How is it similar? Obviously, Anthony Joshua's got a very different style to Dubois, but they're kind of similar in the way that they're both extremely strong guys. And Usyk is a smaller guy. Got a high volume of punches, a high punch rate, which is something that I got. I work on that hard in the gym. When I'm sparring, if I'm not throwing 100 to 120 punches around, it's not good enough. And I think what I can take out of it, I think we need to forget about the smaller guy coming up to the division, because it really, boxing, the modern day heavyweights are big guys. You got your Tyson, you got your Daniel, Anthony, you got Wilder, they're all big. But if we look at champions of yesteryear, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, they weren't the biggest guys, but they fought very big men too. Buster Douglas, Trevor Berbick, those are all big men, Galata. So I think styles that the cruiserweight, smaller guys bring up is that the same of the other guys of yesteryear. So Mike Tyson was very small, explosive, dynamic. Evander Holyfield had a lot of work rate, massive heart. And I think it's all relative. And Alexander Usyk did inspire me the way he fought Anthony Joshua. But at the end of the day, these are the guys that are kind of my era. So they don't really inspire me. It's just I look at what they do and how they're beating each other. I thought Anthony Joshua was going to beat Alexander Usyk the second fight, to be totally honest. And it just didn't go his way. Sometimes you have a guy who's got your number. And for those 2 attempts, and Alexander Usyk had Anthony Joshua's number. That's boxing. And not to say Anthony Joshua is done. So I just think that saying of styles make fights is also not my favorite saying, because at the end of the day, the fight in the ring is what makes the fight. If you go into that man's game plan, then it's not styles make fights. You can adapt your style to make the fight hard for anybody. So yeah, I don't gain inspiration from it, but it shows that it can be done. Alexander Usyk's probably maybe an inch or 2 taller than me. Obviously, I've got a bit of a thicker stature than him, being a shorter, stockier guy, but he's a terrific boxer. So he brings that boxing attribute. His ring IQ is really high. And then Anthony Joshua is a very strong guy, a natural athlete, explosive, strong guy. So Daniel Dubois the same. So I think everyone's different in the division, and that's what makes heavyweight boxing so exciting. Andy Ruiz doesn't look like your typical figure of a athlete. Sure. But he's got one of the fastest, most explosive hands in the division, and probably, in my opinion, one of the best counter punchers of the division if you really watch him. He's a really good counter puncher. So it just shows you it's like the heavyweight division is alive. It's a glamour division. So I'm just excited to be mixing it there. And I'm fortunate enough to be there on the 3rd of December. I can't say it enough, but at the end of the day, it's another fight for me, just obviously in front of more people, not at home. But when the bell goes, it's me and Daniel Dubois, and I got a game plan, and I'm sure he does too. And it's going to be a terrific fight.
And you mentioned
that I can promise you.
Oh yeah, look, I can't wait for it. And look, one of the things you mentioned, Kevin, is that you are, of course, representing South Africa. Another South African heavyweight, no longer with us, but he made a lot of noise when he was around. He upset Vladimir Klitschko, of course, Corey Sanders. big hitting southpaw as well. I mean, we talk about inspiration from Usyk. This guy must have been an inspiration for you coming up.
Most definitely. Corey Saunders went to Germany and he dethroned Vladimir Klitschko with that sniper left hand. His nickname was the sniper. And, you know, I speak to, my trainer was Corey Saunders' chief sparring partner. And I speak to Corey Saunders' trainer. You know, the scary thing is, Devin, that guy didn't reach his full potential. He was more on the golf course than he was in the boxing gym. He was a natural talent, a scary freak of nature, a proper natural talent. And it inspires me, but it also inspires me to show that you need to work hard to carry that talent. And, you know, may you rest in peace. The last time the South African fought on such a big stage against the biggest names was in 2003. And now we fast forward, 20 years later, 23 years later, and now it's our time, you know. So I'm just grateful to be here. And a lot of people don't know that about me. I started boxing and was told from the start of boxing, the start of my professional career, he's never going to make it. He's had no amateur fights. He comes from a rugby background. Look where we are now. So this is an achievement for me on my own, and I'm very proud.
No, you should be. You should be very, very proud. Talk to me a little bit about camp. I understand Martin Bakole is in town as well, and you're going to be doing a little bit of work with him.
Well, Martin, it's no secret. You know, he's from Africa. We're in the number 1 and number 2 African heavyweights, according to the independent ratings in the world. And he's a very strong guy. He's 6'5", 6'6". I've known Martin before he went over to the UK. 9 years ago, he lived in South Africa, and I just started my career the same time as him. We're the same age. And, you know, respect to Martin Bakole, because when I was trying to round up sparring partners, you know, I didn't, you know, there's no sparring in South Africa, Dev. Like my teammate's good sparring. He's a fast, explosive guy, but he's more of like a bridgerweight, you know, he's about 100 kilograms. He's not that tall stature of like a Dubois or Joshua and those guys. So I said, who are we going to get for sparring? And Martin Bakole, I reached out to him and he said, without a doubt, I'll be there to help you. And we've got 1 or 2 other guys on standby. I mean, I only really need Martin and Keaton, who's my teammate, because Keaton brings a bit of speed. So he's got a very high work rate. And Martin is a beastly puncher, very strong guy. And Daniel Dubois is a strong guy, but so is Martin Bakole. And sparring is not a fight. Now, I'm no fool. But what I am saying is I got that stature of a man in front of me who's also been in there with Martin, Daniel Dubois in terms of sparring. And also he's told me a lot of what I need to know. And also they offered him the fight too. So Martin Bakole is a very avoided heavyweight. And we saw what he did to Tony Yoka. So I'm very privileged to be working with him. And like he said, he says that you're going to make a very big statement and surprise a lot of people on the 3rd of December.
So he believes you will be beating Daniel Dubois on December the 3rd?
If I stick to my game plan, his words to me were, you're going to beat Daniel Dubois.
Well, the promoter of the event, Frank Warren, recently named his top 5 heavyweights, which caused a lot of debate across the boxing world. And he went with Tyson Fury, number 1, Usyk, number 2, Deontay Wilder, number 3, Joe Joyce, number 4, and Daniel Dubois at number 5. What do you think about that? And please tell me your top 5, Kevin.
I think the top 5 is continuously shuffling all the time. Frank Warren obviously is backing his boys, you know. Joe Joyce, terrific fighter. Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois. That's his opinion. I think when I beat Daniel Dubois on the 3rd of December, he must put me in at number 5 then. To be honest, top 5 in the world right now, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. I like Ruiz, Joe Joyce, and possibly number 5. We're very avoided. He needs an opportunity. Is Martin Bakole.
Okay. And where do you put
He's very
yourself?
strong, man.
Yeah, look, I've seen him. We've seen the fight with Tony Yoka. He's a heavyweight, certainly on the come up at the moment.
Devin, he's avoided. He's avoided, you know. And that's what I don't like. That's the one thing I don't like in boxing. We're driving in the car yesterday near Martin, and I said to him, and he said, you know what? I respect you for taking this fight. I said, yeah, well, why not? You know, boxing, we must fight each other. It's a winner and a loser. It's just a fight. You know what I mean? I understand then there's contractual obligations and and it's a little bit bigger than just a fight, like the big fights, like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury and Usyk and Fury. Those are very different because there's TV networks, there's promoters, and there's contracts. But when it's a fight like Lerena Dubois, take the fight, let's move on. When there's a fight like Bakoli versus this one, take the fight and move on. We're just speaking like a lot of fights are avoided, and I've never avoided a fight. And neither has he. It's all about opportunity. And being from Africa, we're speaking how immediately there's this stigma around like African fighters, we can't do it. Seriously, there is. And it's time to change that, Boxing in the UK is producing massive champions, Europe, America, but Africa's also got great fighters, and in South Africa in particular. A lot of the guys in South Africa are the smaller weight divisions, the little guys, but we're a fighting nation, and I just think it's just about getting opportunity. So I'm excited, and Martin Bakoli, the reason why I put him in the top 5, let me tell you why. Sparring doesn't make a fight, but when his mind is on the job, it'll be very hard to beat. I mean, you saw what he did to Tony Yoka. Tony Yoka's an Olympian. Yes, amateur's not professional, but he's a strong puncher, and he's got a good ring IQ too. He's got very, very good ring IQ. So, he's helping me a lot in a sense of the bigger man and Daniel Dubois. So you're not going to get a better sparring partner than Martin Bakoli. I've got another guy on standby, which I might bring in next week. He's worked with Tyson Fury. He's a guy from Iceland. He's 13-0. He's very keen to come. But I think I'm okay with Martin and Keaton. I got my hands full. So I got to work hard there. And I mean, when a lot of people forget, like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I just had a 12-round fight. Yeah. You don't get better preparation than match fitness. So I took off 10 days and then I started getting back in the gym because I was looking to fight Carlos Takam in South Africa. And then the opportunity got offered to us to fight Daniel. I was like, cool, let's get it on. So that I'm fit, but now it's just about elevating my peak fitness and peaking at the right time. So I got a good head trainer, my conditioning coach are working together. And then obviously at the sparring, I have about 4 weeks of sparring. When I spar 3 times a week, 10 rounds a session, so getting in about 30 rounds a week. It's more than enough because I've just come off a 12-round fight, So yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that people forget is fighting fitness. I just went 12 rounds with Marius. So, I'm really excited. I'm just excited. I think you can see the excitement within me. It's just a big opportunity, and I won't let the excitement get the better of me because I need to channel all my energy onto the fight. But it's pretty surreal being in this moment.
It's a huge moment. It's a huge moment in British boxing now. Whenever Tyson Fury fights as well. But tell me, I've heard you refer to yourself, Kevin, as the dark horse of the heavyweight division. Presumably on December 3rd, you feel as though you will be coming into the light. Tell us what's going to happen when the first bell rings on December 3rd when Kevin Lerena challenges Daniel Dubois.
As the first bell goes, I'll dictate the pace of the fight. I'll dictate the pace of the fight. They say Daniel's strong, he's this. Well, he's got a man in there who's a very fast, explosive guy. And his trainer, Shane, who's in my opinion, one of the better trainers in the world, knows. He said Lerena's a fast guy, he's an awkward guy. They know what they're up against. And I think, the fight for them is just as big as it is for me. So the key to this fight is dictating the pace. You can't let the bigger man dictate the pace. You got to dictate the pace, and he's going to want to dictate the pace. And the way you take that away from him is kind of punching him and take away his jab, and then we'll see from there. We got a game plan. I don't want to give away too much, but it's like I say, it's just a fight. It's just a fight, and that's my mentality. It's just a fight.
Do you think you can stop Daniel Dubois?
If I catch him, yes, I will. A lot of people underestimate my power. They really do. There's, like we spoke about punches, right? What is power? I tell people what is power. The guy at 100 kilograms throwing explosive and fast punches can be power. If you spark a guy up and they go, oh, he's got so much power. No, man, it's called timing. It's called timing. It's called hitting the man with a punch he doesn't see. Then you get like your raw power, the big guys, you have that thud of a punch. That is power. But sometimes if you see that punch coming, it's not going to floor you. The punch you don't see is the one that really hurts you. So it's about timing and setting up people for the knockout. And that's what I've learned my whole career. I mean, my last 8 fights, I've only gone the distance twice because I started realizing it's not about that power, that power, everybody's got power at the top. It's that timing, working for the knockout, up and down, bring a man's hands down, hit him on the chin, they sit. It's all about like that, Some are more durable than others. Morris Vach is really durable. I mean, I was counter punching him all night with the left hand. Really, I was. And there's
He's not
moments
going
when he was
anywhere.
wobbling. No, me and Martin spoke about it, and because Martin stopped him in the 10th round on his feet. I said, "How did you find that?" He goes, "Man, that is the toughest guy I've ever fought." I said, "Me too." Because when I got back home, all my family were like, "Why you didn't knock him out?" I was like, "What the fuck? How do I answer these people?" A lot of people going, "Why didn't you knock him out?" I was saying, well, he took everything I had. I don't know why. And then you ask a boxing guy who's one of the bigger punchers, "How did you feel?" He says, "Man, that guy was so tough. The ref had to stop the fight. He didn't go down."
Yeah, he's got one of
So
the
it's all
legendary
relative.
chins, hasn't he? He's got one of those legendary chins of modern heavyweight boxing. It's unbelievable.
And he's a tough guy, and I think that fight did so much more for me than a knockout. So we know Daniel knocked out Dinu, I knocked out Dinu, but going 12 rounds with Morris Vach, just like Dylan White went 12 rounds with him, just like Vladimir Klitschko went 12 rounds with him, does a lot for my career because I learned a lot in there. The man is big. He's 6'8". He's a very big unit. He's 125 kilograms. I'm 104 kilograms. So I had to learn how to carry that weight on me, how to move around the bigger man. So I gained a lot about going that distance, and I'm very fortunate.
But one final thing, Kevin, do you feel as though you're going to surprise Daniel Dubois? Do you feel as though he's going to be shocked with what he finds in there, and maybe he's never boxed anyone like you before in his career?
It's hard to say, Dev, because I don't know if they're underrating me. I don't know if they're overlooking me. I don't know if they underestimating me. I don't know. I don't think they would, to be honest. I know, from what I've heard from interviews with his trainer, they're taking me seriously and they find me a very difficult opponent. But that could also be interviews. But he will be surprised because I'm different. Like Martin said, I'm very different to the normal modern day heavyweight who's big and strong, who's static. I'm not like that, man. I don't want to get hit. People go, "Well, what's a good chin?" I'll tell you what's a good chin. The chin that doesn't get hit. That's a good chin in the heavyweight division. And I try my best to be tenacious, obviously, explosive, but also dynamic. And yes, I'm durable, but you don't want to be durable in the heavyweight division. You don't want to get hit. You want to be explosive. You want to be special. And that's what I'm looking to bring to the division. And I think Daniel will see that on the 3rd of December. And I'm also going to see a different beast because I haven't fought someone. I've sparred many people with power, but I've never fought someone of that power like they say he's got. And I believe it. And the biggest thing with me is I don't tune out the noise. I see this guy's got power. And that's what I don't underestimate him. He's the biggest challenge of my career. He's the toughest challenge of my career. But cometh the hour, cometh the man, and I rise to the occasion every single time.
Well, give me 2 messages, please. One message to Daniel Dubois and one message to the UK fans who'll be tuning in to see Kevin Lerena perhaps for the first time on December the 3rd. Firstly, what's your message to Daniel Dubois, Kevin?
My message to Daniel Dubois is, firstly, thank you for accepting the fight. He's the champion. He didn't need to fight me. They could have looked down other avenues. So thank you very much for accepting the challenge against me. I'm bringing a tough, hard fight to you, a competitive fight, and I look forward to sharing the ring with you. And to the UK fans, I just want to say I look forward to welcoming him to the warm welcome in the UK on the 3rd of December. I've dreamed my whole career about fighting in the United Kingdom, let alone Tottenham Stadium. So it's just an absolute honor. So to all the UK fans, thank you very much. And I know you guys are patriotic, but I'm just excited to share this moment with all of you.